Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. Are you ready for a 30% bump? The VA is opening the door for, I believe, a potential to jump up your rating from, let's say, 70% to 100%, 30% jump. 50% to a 70%, 20% jump. I believe that this is going to be happening, and I wanted to jump into it with you because the new date for this proposed rule change is set to happen April of 2025. They moved the date. We've already passed it up the first time. Now they've kicked it out to April 2025. With that, I wanted to also throw on a special thank you to the super chat or super comment that was left by Robert J. Thank you so much, Robert. I really appreciate you. Doing those supers really does help the channel, and I really do appreciate that sort of generosity. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. So with that, I'm going to jump into this video regarding the schedule of ratings change that could open the door to a higher rating for you. Does it mean everybody's going to get this higher rate? No, of course not. But I believe that those that are kind of on the cusp, I believe that this is the doorway that we've been waiting for you to make it to the next level. Now, with that, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. I really appreciate it. Every minute watched, every thumbs up helps YouTube to tell others, right? It helps to push the word out further, and I really appreciate that. If you want to support the channel in other ways, you can do that by becoming a member. Thank you so much to all you members. I truly appreciate it. You can go to the home page. You'll see highlighted members and a join button. Thank you so much. All right, so let's jump into this. I've done a couple videos on this. I'm going to talk about a little bit of what the VA is looking to do with this rating schedule change, what that looks like, and what you could do today to start preparing for that filing for an increase in this condition. So with that, this is regarding mental health condition, and I'm going to read directly from the VA's, news release that they did on this a while back, and then jump into the Federal Register on it and go from there and talk about what you can do today to start really preparing. So the VA has said the proposed rules for mental health conditions would increase the minimum disability rating from 0 to 10%. So they're eliminating the 0, thus leaving 10% and higher to be rated. The rule would get rid, now this is an important part for a lot of folks that are at the 70%. Remember that mental health ratings they go from 70 to 100. There's no 80, there's no 90. It just goes from 70 to 100. So if you don't qualify for 100, they push you to 70, okay? So it says here, the rule would get rid of the dated part of the rating schedule that prevents a veteran from getting 100% rating for mental health condition if they are able to work. So if you're working and just kind of suffering through and dealing with it, because how else are you going to put food on the table and you can't really be homeless and all that good stuff, you may be at 70% because of that. Now, I'm not saying that people haven't been 100% and are working. I think it just kind of depends on who's doing the rating and all of that. This is clearing that up. This is telling the VA employee it doesn't matter if they're making $100,000 a year. That's irrelevant regarding their specific condition. Because look, here's the thing. Although I know and you know the VA views disability compensation as kind of a filler because of your lack of earning capacity due to your service-connected conditions. So people might think that when I say you're making over $100,000 a year, well, you have no earning deficit, right? Well, okay. Maybe, but maybe they're not always just talking about on an annual basis or a monthly basis. Maybe they're talking about longevity, right? Maybe we're not able to work as long as our counterparts with the different ailments that we have and so forth, right? So that is another way to look at it. So don't look for ways to say yes instead of ways to say no, is all I'm saying. So in any case, here we are. With the VA removing that dated part of the schedule, which is super important to help you get to the 100% realm. It goes on here to say VA will ensure that veterans get the compensation they need and deserve, especially when it comes to mental disorders. Under the proposed changes, VA plans to use new evaluation criteria more closely or more accurately to more accurately capture the different domains. Domains is an important word. Domains of impairment caused by mental disabilities and provide more adequate compensation for financial losses experienced by veterans with service-connected mental disorders. Rather than, this is an important part, rather than assigning an evaluation based on the number and type of symptoms present, these changes would evaluate mental disorders based on how impactful the disability is across 5 domains. Okay, 5 domains. Those 5 domains, this is an important piece of what you need to do today. The 5 domains: cognition, interpersonal interactions and relationships, task completion, life activities and navigating environments, and self-care. Okay, that's the 5 domains of impairment. Now, if we look at the Federal Register regarding those 5 domains of impairment, it says here, now this is for the VA rater, okay? Now it's up to you when you file your claim for an increase in your mental health condition, or if you're filing, whenever you watch this, if you're filing for your condition and this is already in effect, well then you just need to file it appropriately as well. You need to get your evidence together. Your job is to make the VA's decision-making process as easy as possible to rule in your favor at the correct amount. Now, this is basically the rating schedule proposal, and it says here, assigning a disability rating. Once an adjudicator determines the level of impairment of functioning for each domain caused by a mental disorder, VA would assign an evaluation of 10, 30, 50, 70, or 100% for the disorder based upon the numerical value of each domain and the number of domains affected. VA would assign the following ratings based upon the following criteria. Now, here's what they are doing. Okay, they're going to assign a level of impairment for each one of your domains. Now, what I would do today is I would have a conversation with my provider. Hey, look, I'm really anxious and thinking about this change that's happening with the VA, and I just want to make sure that we're documenting my level of impairment within these 5 domains. And the levels of impairment are 1 through 4. Okay, now here's what the VA is saying. I'm going to give you the definition of 0 through 4. Okay, this is how bad your domain is. Remember, there's 5 domains, how bad it is in each one of those. Okay, so each one of those 5 domains that I mentioned will be given a number of severity, right? How impactful it is, what the level of impairment is. 0 is none, no difficulties whatsoever. So you can have a 0, that's fine, okay, in them. The next one is a number 1. Okay, number 1 is mild impairment at any frequency or moderate impairment that occurs less than 25% of the time. Okay, next is 2. A level of impairment 2 is moderate impairment that occurs 25% or more of the time, or severe impairment that occurs less than 25% of the time. So there's wiggle room inside of the level of impairment. Okay, moderate impairment that occurs 25% or more of the time, or maybe it's not 25% of the time, right? Maybe it's a little less than that, but it is severe, but less than 25% of the time, right? It spikes up, 1 day a week or whatever it is, right? So the next one is a level 3. Level 3 is a severe impairment that occurs 25% or more of the time. Okay, severe impairment that occurs 25% of the time. So what is 25% of the time? Well, that's 1 out of 4 days, right? Is 25% of the time. Okay, that's 1 week out of a month is 25% of the time. So severe impairment that occurs 25% or more of the time, or total impairment that occurs less than 25% of the time. Okay, so maybe it's not one out of 4 days. Maybe it's 1 out of 8 days, and it is super severe, right? It is total impairment, right? Total impairment less than 25% of the time will get you a 3. Or a 4, a level 4 impairment, right? That's the maximum total impairment that occurs 25% or more of the time. So those are the ratings that will be given to decipher the severity of your domain, your level of impairment for each domain. You will have 5 numbers assigned, 1 for each domain, depending on how bad it is, okay? So I think a lot of folks out there are rated at the 50 and 70% rating kind of thresholds, okay? I'll talk about them, but we'll start off at a 10%. The proposal is 10% is the minimum rating, so there is really no criteria other than a diagnosis. You don't have to have anything. A 30% rating is your next rating. What you need to have is a level 1 impairment in 2 or more of your domains. That means all the rest can be zeros, okay? So we're mostly, in this case, we're just talking about what's required at the highest levels for that percentage. So for a 30%, you need to have a level 1 in 2 or more domains. And really, quite frankly, it's just 2, right? You need to have at least 2 domains. To get a 50%, which I believe a lot of folks are at the 50% and 70% range. So to get a 50% on this new schedule, so this is important for those that are currently at 30. For a 50% rating, you need to have level 2 impairment. Level 2 impairment in 1 domain. The rest can be 0, doesn't matter. You need to have a level 2 in 1 of your 5 domains. To get a 70%, they give you a little wiggle room for the 70 and 100% ratings. For a 70% rating, you have 2 options. You can either be a level 3 impairment in 1 of the 5 domains, or if you have no 3s, they'll rate you at 70% if you have a level 2 impairment in 2 or more domains. Okay, that's important because you have 5 domains. If you're a level 2 and 2 of them and 0s in the other 3 or 1s, it doesn't matter. As long as you have a level 2 in 2 or more of the domains. For 100% rating, you can have either a 4 level of impairment in 1 of the domains, or if you have no 4s, you can have a level 3 impairment in 2 of your domains. And that would get you to the 100% rating. Now, what do you need to do today? You need to work with your provider today, like now. Start now. Print this out. Print out the information that I'm giving you about the levels of impairment, the 0 through 4. Have the conversation about the different domains, the 5 domains. Have your provider go ahead and write, I need to know, like, what am I? Am I a severe impairment? Am I a level 3 in this? Or am I a level 2? Or am I a level 4, right? Or am I a level 1? Whatever it is, right? You work with your provider to figure out those 5 domains and have them annotate your level of impairment on a 0 through 4 schedule based on this, right? With 0 meaning none, 1 is mild or moderate, 2, 3, 4 with the definitions behind them, as I stated. And if they put that down on a letter for you stating, I've been seeing veteran so-and-so for the past X number of years regarding their mental health, whatever, and in regard to breaking it down per domain, these 5 domains assigning a specific level of impairment based on a 0 through 4 rating scale, with 0 being none or no difficulties and 4 being totally impaired, then using the same language, right? I gave you the brief version. You'd want to spell it all out and have them give an assigned number for each one. That is hard medical evidence that the VA would be able to easily make a determination with. Your CNP exam in there, you'd want to have that conversation that, look, I've seen my provider, whatever, psychologist, I guess I said that twice, psychologist, psychiatrist, or counselor, whatever it is, for the past X number of years. And, we've talked about the 5 domains and, kind of hear what they're talking about and be able to answer. And yeah, I've really had a hard time in that specific domain. And, it's been severely impactful, and I've had a severe impairment with that, with regard to that domain for more than 25% of the time. I mean, it's easily, once every 3 days. And that would be more than 25%, and then that would put you into a level 3 category, right? So, but you need to know this stuff, and you need to be able to, for lack of a better word, regurgitate it in your C&P exam. That means you should print this out and take it with you to your C&P exam. First, you're filing your claim with all the evidence, with this stuff built into your medical records from your mental health provider, ideally, a letter from your mental health provider assigning the level of impairment to those 5 domains, making it super easy for the C&P examiner. Then you're going to print this off for each domain and what level you are, so it corresponds with the documentation that you send in with your claim, so you can have that conversation with the C&P examiner from a very squared away perspective, where you already know that what was filed with your claim for that domain, in working with my psychologist for the past 3 years, we've determined that I'm easily a level 3, potentially a level 4 impairment. 25% or more of the time I'm at this kind of place with that, and whatever you got to kind of describe. But now you are sharing that information with the C&P examiner that you've already put into your file. You're letting them know that you've put it into your file, that you've already documented that and provided it as evidence, and they are just capturing what you've already done and then putting that all into their DBQ, essentially, that they're going to outline it all, and basically it's going to mirror the same stuff you've already sent in, and it should make it pretty easy, I would think. So with that, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you. Have a great one, and remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.